All right. Welcome to everyone joining us on Facebook. You should be live on there as well.
And welcome to the Valentine's Day edition of Smart with Your Money Live. I am Chase Peckham. I am the Director of Community Outreach and Education at the San Diego Financial Literacy Center, the education arm of DebtWave Credit Counseling. And as always, I am joined by my cohort, our Community Outreach Coordinator, Mr. Felipe Arevalo. And Felipe, happy early Valentine's Day.
Happy early Valentine's Day to you as well. Yeah, it's going to be a different one as everything else has been this go around. But it's a expensive holiday for some, and anyone who goes to the grocery store can know that it's heavily marketed. I mean, there's been Valentine's Day things for a while now.
And depending on who you are, it can be extraordinarily stressful. It can give a little bit of anxiety if you're in a new relationship and you feel like there's expectations, whether there are or not, for Valentine's Day. It does seem to give us those expectations of having to do something kind of grandiose, right? Kind of big and over the top.
Absolutely.
And it just really depends on where you are in your life. Some people, Valentine's Day is a thing, and some people it's not. Sometimes it's just a little, it's kind of fun to celebrate a holiday because it's a holiday, especially in the world of a pandemic where we try to look forward to just about anything that'll bring us some happiness.
Any excuse for a little bit of joy. I kind of wanted to throw a party yesterday for Groundhog's Day.
But you know what the joke about, isn't it? Hasn't it been Groundhog's? It was Monday, but hasn't it been Groundhog's Day like every day since last March? It seems like it to me.
My buddy, the Groundhog Phil, even took it virtually this year. So even he's on the virtual. But yeah, let's get started. Valentine's Day is just another opportunity to throw your budget out the window, but it doesn't have to be. And being in the personal finance realm, I've been waiting to use this gift for a long time, but it doesn't usually apply. It does here though, because you don't have to throw your budget out the window just because we've reached yet another holiday. And we're going to go over a bunch of different opportunities, a bunch of different things you can do that are budget friendly, oftentimes free.
Absolutely. And again, you said it right at the beginning of this, that it's marketing, right? And we get marketed to a lot. And I don't know about you, and my wife is always on social media. I'm barely ever on social media, but when I am, boy, do I ever get marketed to. Like my wife was going to buy it because she saw me using it for Valentine's Day, but the do-it-yourself hair trimmer that it's like on the side, and I'm like, there's no reason to throw $40 at that, but it sounds so cheap and efficient, right?
Right.
But what a great way to keep my sideburns and the side of my hair from curling. So, but I said, that's okay, babe. I don't need a present for Valentine's Day.
Who knows? Maybe she'll still get you something.
Maybe she'll watch this. She'll just surprise me because.
Yeah. Maybe she'll take some of these tips. Maybe she'll bring you breakfast in bed. This is a nice one. It's easy. It's for all intents and purposes can be free because you were going to eat breakfast anyways. Just get up a little early. This year it's on a Sunday. Bring them breakfast in bed. I'm simple. You could bring me a cup of coffee. Like if my kids got the idea, brought me a cup of coffee, black, and a peanut butter and jelly. Golden. So you know what they like, and you can not going to cost you extra money.
It doesn't cost you anything really extra. I mean, the idea that it's on a Sunday this year is really great because our significant others or even if our kids decide to do it. So I'm going to throw some hints, can bring us breakfast. And it sounds cliched, right? I mean, does it get much older than breakfast in bed? But boy, does it ever work. And it doesn't cost you anything else. And the idea that somebody went through the effort to make you feel more comfortable and did something nice for you, I think it speaks volumes.
Yeah. You got to be careful though. My kids would probably end up spilling the coffee on me or on themselves trying to get it to me.
Yeah, that can be dangerous.
But if you're crafty or you have crafty kids, hand make some cards or gifts. Cards are easiest, but if you have other do-it-yourself things that you're good at, maybe you hand make the gift, and it just takes up time, which if you're stuck at home, you may have extra time that you didn't previously have. So this gives you the opportunity to spend little to no extra money, depending on if you have the supplies, and just turn your time into a gift that may be even more meaningful than something you could buy.
It's interesting that you could even make some money on this. My daughter, who is the crafty one of the family, the only one, the rest of the three of us, not at all. She was doing some doodling and made us some Valentine's Day artwork. And friends of ours happened to see the work that she did and asked her to do some for them for Valentine's Day. And they paid her $10 for it.
Sweet.
And so now she's done 6 orders already. So she's found a little side business on creating like little home Valentine's Day like artwork.
And it's unique, and that individual gets something that they're going to be able to give something that no one else is going to have. So it's really a great idea, and you can even, that's perfect, turn it into a side hustle.
That happened on accident, but she loves it. She's all in now.
That's the best side hustle, though. Well, the one that doesn't feel like you're doing any extra work. It's just you doing what you like to do, and then you can some way find a way to monetize it.
Absolutely, 100%. Yeah.
So maybe you're not crafty, but maybe you can cook and do dinner in, or maybe you can do something simple, but we may have been eating in a lot more than usual.
I was going to say we've been doing that a lot.
If I try and get turkey tacos for Valentine's Day again, and we have that way too often, we need to diversify. So maybe you jump in and you find one of these apps, like a Tasty or something like that, if you don't want to order, or you pick up your phone and order in from an inexpensive restaurant that you can do, like a DoorDash or Postmates or whatever it is. But they have all these great recipes on social media, which sometimes tends to get us into financial trouble more than anything. But take advantage of the free apps, Pinterest, Instagram. There's all these recipes that you can try.
Amazing recipes that you can find. And not only that, but the idea of dining in, which we've all done. But in this case, if you want to do something special, maybe it's something that your significant other or your kids love that you don't necessarily love and you don't have all the time. And you can create that dinner that that this, like for instance, I love teriyaki chicken. I know that sounds weird, but my wife, since we've had kids, has had an aversion to that. So like chicken is like a no-go in the family now, because when she was pregnant, chicken just whatever reason got to her. But she knows that is something that I absolutely love. And so for this Valentine's Day, she actually mentioned that she's going to make me a variation of teriyaki chicken, but chicken cordon bleu, and you can do it very cheaply. So I don't get that ever. I'm like super excited.
Yeah.
So that is something that you can do, that it's just out of the ordinary. So it's not Absolutely. Just your standard dining in.
Right. Make it special. Make it you just add a little bit of a variation that makes it special for that person. And then that can go a long way to making it a special afternoon. And just be cautious with we were mentioning when we were talking about this, Chase, with these tasty videos and all those recipe videos, it's always deceiving how quickly they get stuff done.
Because they put them in super fast motion and they go, oh my gosh, that's so easy to make. And right. Yeah, I've tried a few times. And
30 minutes later, you're sitting there looking at it like, is this where I give up and call for pizza?
Right.
Or because it's a Sunday, maybe you do a movie night or a movie day at home and you just watch TV all day. We have streaming services that we pay for, oftentimes don't use as much as we could. Make a list of movies, but you want to make it a little different for Valentine's Day. You don't just throw on whatever show you've been binge watching for the last month, and maybe you find something that they want to watch. And maybe you don't want to watch usually, or you find an old classic, something you watched on a first date or things like that.
Yeah, and this is kind of along the same lines as the food and dining in, right? Which we can do both. But we are so conditioned nowadays, especially through the pandemic, and we have streaming, that we just binge watch these shows, right? And it becomes a part of our fabric in our life, and we can't wait to find out what happens in Yellowstone or different shows that we all love. But those movies, like sitting back and watching a Casablanca or something that we haven't seen. We were talking about it the other day. Pretty in Pink, something like that from, when my wife and I were younger, and that was really big back then, like a Brat Pack movie. Now I'm dating myself. My wife goes, Brat, what? But you get the idea. It's something that maybe it's an old movie that we loved and we just wouldn't watch anymore, and make our kids struggle through it.
Yeah, maybe, or like maybe you're not into romantic comedies, but your significant other is. Maybe you say, "Hey, let's watch, one of these, Sweet Home Alabama or something," and then maybe in return you get to have them sit through Star Wars
Or
or something that they
Endgame
normally
from
wouldn't
Marvel,
watch.
right? From the
Right.
Avengers. My wife would never watch that stuff. So we actually we're going to do well, I can't tell you because it's coming up. I'm excited
Surprise!
to
There you
see
go.
it. That's right. I almost jumped the gun there. I'm so excited.
That's all right. Or you create yourself a scavenger hunt. Create a scavenger hunt for if you bought a little gift or just for fun, especially if you have kids. This could be a way to entertain them for much longer with a simple gift, and then you have them go around the house. Hopefully not Big Brother style destroying the whole house, but carefully looking for whatever item you have hid, and have them go around the place looking for them. It adds an extra level of fun to the gift that you already purchased for no extra expense. You just get a piece of paper and start writing clues on it. So it's just a way to make it more special.
And even if it's candy or those little hearts we used to get that say "Be Mine" on them, kids love that stuff. Like if you make a game out of it and they're searching for whatever it might be, because Valentine's Day isn't just about you and your spouse, right? Valentine's Day nowadays is, especially the way they market it, it's for everybody. It's for the kids as well. And I think that could be a really fun thing to do, as long as they're not doing that to my house.
That would be bad if it turns into that kind of scavenger hunt. Maybe you don't put a timer on it and you just let them take their time, but be careful.
No doubt.
Or have yourself an arcade night at home. If you have any kind of entertainment system, maybe you dig up an old Super Nintendo or old PlayStation 1 or something from the past, or you simply get computer games. Nothing wrong with a little Oregon Trail. Now I've dated myself. But have an arcade night at home. Maybe your significant other's not into video games, or they like different games than the ones you would normally play. And if you have kids, this is a great way to say, what, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to play. Oh, for me it would be, I'm going to sit down and play Minecraft for an hour, and I'm not going to be distracted, and I'm genuinely going to give this game a try, even though I don't understand it and don't know what I'm doing. But to my 7-year-old, that would be a special moment to just sit and get to teach me how to, do whatever it is he does on there.
Absolutely. And you're already paying for it, right? It's something that
right.
they genuinely like to do. And it's father-son time at the
Yeah,
time.
exactly.
Right? So my son would do the exact same thing. He's way into sports games, baseball, football, whatever it might be. I just never was into video games, but he really, really loves it when I play with him. And this could be one of those times that you do that, even with a family. We actually, my wife promised she's going to play MLB The Show with us. We're going to do a family MLB The Show on Sunday night.
It was exciting.
That is something.
MLB
Neither
The
of us
Show
like
was
to do it.
Right.
So it's showing that you care about them and that you're genuinely interested in what they're interested in.
Yeah, MLB The Show was in the news, actually. Fernando Tatis, our Padres
for those
player,
San
is going to be on the cover.
San Diegans here.
Yeah, for our San Diego crowd.
That's right.
Or maybe you discover a new game together. My wife, not about video games. I think the last video game she played was actually Super Mario from the last gift. But through being stuck at home a lot more, she discovered a new game that she likes. In this case, Animal Crossing. It actually has a money component to it.
Yeah, it's financial.
There's financials to it. There's money or bells, and there's a stock market because you buy turnips and then you sell them at a higher or lower price. It's a little bit of a gamble. So maybe you discover something new where if it's something new, you may end up paying more, but there's demos that you can try. And if you find one that, with video games, if you find one that, a good deal on one, that initial expense could generate hours and hours of entertainment. At least that's how I always validated it to to my budget.
Well, it is true. And again, that goes back to budgeting and whatever that you enjoy and whatever you like, what is, if it's worth, if you get, if you think about it as an hourly, getting paid hourly or paying hourly, and you get that value out of it, then it maybe not necessarily, it's not wrong. Right. And it could be something that is of greater value because of the emotional component.
Correct. Yeah. It's kind of like a de-stressor. And
Speaking
then,
of emotion,
speaking of smart spending, it isn't necessarily about not spending at all. It's about being smarter with how you spend. Maybe flowers are you or your significant other's thing, and instead of ordering them, or and then especially if you're a little bit of a procrastinator on Valentine gifts, like I tend to be, and and having to pay for rush shipping and all that extra thing, maybe you go get the flowers at the grocery store and buy them for a fraction of the cost, deliver them yourself with a hug, and there you go. Save a lot of money and go down to the grocery store and you just put in a little legwork yourself.
Yeah, I mean, flowers is such an interesting thing, but being, very few of us are in the office these days, and Valentine's Day, it became like who could, it was an emotional thing, and you're excited if you were sitting at your desk and the gentleman or person the delivery person comes in and says, here you go, is this so-and-so? And they get the big bouquet and it sits on your desk, and everybody in the office gets to look and go, oh, somebody really loves you. Boy, are you lucky.
Right.
And then as the person who did it, you're like, yeah, I got brownie
That's
points.
Right.
We don't really even have that right now. Right.
Right.
And if you listen to our podcast last week and with our significant others, both of them said, yeah, really don't waste the money on the flowers. The gesture is great, but you can do flowers so much more inexpensive, and they don't sponsor us or anything, but Trader Joe's, I mean, you can spend $5 on a really nice bouquet of flowers.
Yeah.
Because they're going to die relatively quickly.
Yeah, regardless of where you get them from, they're going to go away in a few days.
Right.
Especially if you don't know how to take care of them, which is a thing. Chase is telling me I don't get flowers for myself, so I have no clue how I would take care of them. And I probably
totally. I mean, there's certain flowers that have to have sunlight so much. There's certain flowers that cannot have sunlight. There's certain flowers that can't handle heat. Like we had flowers that died because we turned the heater on when we had a cold spell here. They lived for a while and then boom, woke up the next morning and there was petals everywhere. So, I mean, you don't just, I mean, I guess it's just the gesture, but
right.
It doesn't have to be expensive.
Yeah. One of my favorites, hiking. Go do an outdoor activity. Maybe it's something where you haven't been able to go out much. Obviously, if you're watching in the Northeast, somewhere where it's snowing, you don't want to go outside if you don't have to. But if it's safe and you can go out and you have a nice day, go out for a hike. Doesn't have to be a 13, 14 mile hike, but it was something a little bit shorter.
For sure. I mean, this is always a nice one. And boy, this would be a big give for me because I know that I know my wife and my daughter love to hike, but I know that I'm not a big hiker, especially since I've gotten older and back issues. But yeah, I would do that for her. But
yeah,
that's a big
And then
give.
Lastly, get creative. Not all these ideas are going to work for everyone. If you get me to, bake a cake, for example, you're going to end up with something from Nailed It on Netflix.
That actually looks like what my daughter did just not too long ago. And our kitchen looked like that too. Very colorful. Yeah, not so good.
So not good for everyone. Everyone's a little bit different, and maybe find whatever works for you and your significant other, and whatever makes the day special for them. Which brings us to your kids, yeah. Which brings us to any other ideas that you guys might have. Any questions?
Or questions, even if it's outside Valentine's Day. Which, by the way, I always was scared to death of. And because I've been married 17 years, and it's always that, does she really expect something? She always says she doesn't, but does she? And if I don't give something, am I really letting her down? Those kinds of things. And I think that, again, communication comes into it, as with all finances and everything else in relationships for kids, and setting expectations. It really just depends on the relationship, right? And communicate. That's the biggest thing.
Absolutely.
I know,
questions?
I'm sure, I think our colleague Katie, her husband's a big gamer and loves gaming. And I know that she wasn't much into it before, but later got into it. So I wonder if on Valentine's Day, she's gonna do that
Video
as
game
well.
day. Yeah.
Video game day. She might say video game days every day now. I mean, for all we know.
Who knows? Yeah. Maybe she's the gamer now. And if you want to continue on the topic, in this particular case, we actually, our most recent episode of our podcast, Talk Wealth to Me, we had our wives on, and we talked Valentine's Day and Valentine's Day idea. It was a fun conversation, and apparently it's popular. People are listening to it. So get it wherever, get our podcast wherever you get your podcasts. And it's called Talk Wealth to Me. And then the most recent episode is kind of a longer version of this, but a little more conversational, where we took the chance, had both our wives on the show at the same time, and I think it worked out all right. We didn't get into too much trouble.
Yeah, that was a fun one. And we really get kind of deep into the emotional side of these kinds of holidays and what works for us and what they really like. And just taking a female perspective, which was really interesting and fun.
Yeah. And lastly, 2 weeks
Yeah,
from today.
don't miss it. 2 weeks from today on February 17th, car buying, the car buying checklist, 5 tips before you drive off the lot. Or make that purchase online, which you can do now, by the way. You can have those cars delivered to your door, which is, it's almost like Amazon for cars. So
someone down the street had one delivered yesterday. It was very, my son was very excited to see that. He's like, that's the one from the commercial. So
is there any questions on Facebook? Any of those that are out there on Facebook that have any questions before we wrap this up? We'd love to answer them if we can. And if there isn't, we'll thank everybody for their time and thank you for joining us. And we hope everybody enjoyed this Smart with Your Money Live.